Okay, come on in. This is the last presentation of the day. I promise to be entertaining. Maybe. It's a song and dance. And it's really covering a lot of the things that we talked about already today as some of the resources that Whatcom Conservation Districts offers. So I'm Aneka Sweeney. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator for the district and have been since 2014. And really, Whatcom Conservation District, we've been working with landowners and farmers in Whatcom County since 1946. And we really live at that intersection between people and place. So people and the environment is where we sit. And a lot of our, let's see if this is on. So our goals, healthy land, healthy water, and healthy people. And we understand that all those things are intimately connected. So we really work to balance the ecological viability of a property and a place with that economic integrity and how much you can balance sort of those pieces. So we want to be able to support agriculture from now into the future and for future generations. And we also want to support healthy salmon runs, healthy clean water, clean air, and all those pieces in between. So that's really what the Whatcom Conservation District does. We are solely grant funded, so we don't get any tax dollars from anyone in Whatcom County. So we're grant and contract driven, but our mission is to assist landowner with their conservation choices. So we do it in a lot of different ways. So conservation planning is one of the main and key components of the work that has to do with the Whatcom Farm Expo that you're here today. So we offer free and confidential planning services to help meet your farm goals while protecting those natural resources. So you're looking to bring on a couple head of cattle and you already have some horses. Let's try to build a pasture management plan that works for you. Let's figure out where your manure storage can go, and so that we know that it will not somehow impact a waterway. Let's figure out a pasture rotation schedule that works for you. That's our conservation planning. Oh, and there's Katie out on her farm from the last talk. Habitat and restoration. So we assist with the protection and restoration of natural habitats for Pacific salmon. So a lot of this has to do with protecting waterways, building filter strips and buffers around salmon-bearing streams in order to shade them, right? All those little tubes out in the county, who knows what's in those tubes? Any guesses? Have you seen them out there? Do you kids know? What are in those little blue tubes? What do you think? Trees or shrubs, for that matter. So every blue tube that you see out in the county has a tiny seedling in it, and these are their protection tubes, so it helps keep any small rodents away from them, as well as grazing deer or browsers. And I'll get into that program here in a little bit. And then we have our education and outreach program as well, which is place-based learning opportunities for all ages. This is a product of our education and outreach program. We also are in 20 schools in Whatcom County, both in the Linden School District, Everson, the Mount Baker School District, and in Bellingham. And we teach watershed health and how we all can be stewards of the land. Okay, our farm planning services. Beyond those, just a farm planner coming out to your property and doing a one-on-one, providing technical assistance for you. What that looks like is a farm planner like Karina or Pauline or any of the folks you're going to meet here in a second, they're going to come up on stage too, will come out to your property and ask you what you want to do on your property. What are your goals? How many animals do you think you want, or how many animals do you have? Okay, well, let's look if you have a fish-bearing stream. Let's look if you have any swales on your property, any wetlands on your property. How can we work together in order to build those components so that you can get what you want out of your property while protecting these natural resources? I'll go over equipment rentals here in a second. We have tarps for manure storage. So if you've got a manure pile that's uncovered in the wintertime, we have free tarps for you. Check out our booth. We also offer soil testing and interpretation, not just a test, which is the easy part, but interpreting that soil test for pasture health and forage productivity. So we have a manure spreader. It's out in the west wing. Actually, you can go check it out right now. It's 2.5 cubic yards and it's ground driven, so you don't need to have it behind a tractor. So you can pull it behind a truck or a nice big lawnmower or ATV. And you can rent it online on our website and reserve a date that works for you. We trailer it out to your property and we also pick it up. So this is something that will come, it comes on a trailer and we'll help you load and unload. We do require a $50 deposit in order to ensure that it is clean. We do not want your manure back into our garage if we can so help it. And we also ask that you work with us to build a nutrient management plan for that, so we can ensure that the manure that you are spreading on your pastures or in your fields is the adequate amount and adequate space. So we have our manure spreading advisory, and this is something that's on our website. We've got more details at our booth over here, and it's really a place-based, weather-based, soil-based manure spreading advisory that you can work with your local farm planner to develop a plan that works best for you. And so this, again, is just one of the resources that we have. We also have this poultry processing equipment, also visible. You can check it out over in the east wing over there. It has the scalder, the plucker, the cones, etc. And that can be rented on our website as well. So by signing up for our e-news, you get updates on different pieces like this. This can be year-round, but the manure spreader is seasonal, depending on the risk for manure runoff. So rebates for farm improvements. If anybody has listened to any of these talks today, they've mentioned that the Conservation District has financial incentives or financial assistance for small farmers. So one of it is a $200 rebate back on both heavy use area footing material, barn gutters and outlets, and also fencing. So examples of that, here's some farm buildings, really thinking about keeping clean water clean, right? So the more that we can divert your roof runoff from away from your heavy use area, away from the area that your animals are in, their hooves will be happier, and there's less risk for runoff. So we can help design these structures for you. There includes an underground outlet, where it could outlet, hopefully into a filter strip. We can help build how you can manage the roof water coming off. I know that this last winter, it was a lot to manage the roof water coming off of my barn. I'm sure that some of you are feeling that same way. So $200 towards gutters, downspouts, additional heavy use area footing. So oftentimes in our sacrifice areas, we need to be bringing in some sort of footing. This is examples of hog fuel, but this would also pay for types of gravel. We've got a whole footing demonstration at our booth that's right by the welcome as you came in today. So check with our farm planners there. They've got a lot of different ideas on how to build a heavy use or sacrifice area footing for your property. So this is, so moving out of that, those are $200 for those different pieces, and that just requires that you chat with us about what is going on in your property, and you've attended an event like this. So then we have our small grants program. So this is for those farm best management practices, and it's up to $3,000 for eligible expenses. You pay 75%, we pay 75%, you pay 25%, so it's a cost share, but up to $3,000 for a variety of different best management practices. And these are, again, protective of soil health and water quality, as well as salmon habitat protection. So some examples are the gutters and downspouts here, heavy use area that's pictured, but here's sort of a smattering of other different practices. So full gutters on your barns, underground outlets, exclusion fencing for animals to keep them away from any stream system that you have, or seasonal swales, creating access lanes to be able to move your animals from one pasture to another, or from their heavy use area or barn area out into pasture. We fund manure storage facilities, whether it's like something with eco blocks, or we have a variety of different other kinds of structures that you can build, and then establishing those heavy use areas or those sacrifice areas. So here's examples of like big heavy use area protection projects. So laying down fabric, bringing in fine gravels, following up with coarse gravel, like really establishing something that is resilient on your farm, instead of each year bringing in another load of hog fuel that just degrades by the end of the winter and your animals are stuck in the muck and the manure. So building these really substantial heavy use areas. Exclusion fencing, this is a great example because you can see that animals used to be able to just go right to the creeks to drink water, and this is fencing that will keep them away from that and build a filter strip to prevent any further erosion to the creek and any opportunity for pollution to go in there. Here's a great example of a manure storage slash composting facility. We can work with you to design these structures as well. Placement is really important when it comes to these manure storage. And so placement for ease, so that you can actually bring manure from where they're producing it to the storage facility easily is one big component, and then of course being protective of any wetlands or water courses. Okay, now we're moving a little bit out of the conservation farm planning and into our salmon habitat work. So many of us around the county probably have a driveway that might have a culvert that runs underneath it, or we have farm fields that we access that might have a culvert underneath it. Our salmon need unrestricted waterways in order to spawn. And this is a prime example of a bad fish passage barrier, a culvert that fish cannot get up, and it was replaced by this bridge. And this, we had funding to work with landowners to identify these fish passage barriers where salmon are unable to come and spawn up these creeks, and how we can work together to build a structure that will work better for those salmon. I think this is a time lapse. So this is a horrible sort of perched dam situation that obviously fish can't get up. And this is an amazing bridge that we were able to fund afterwards. So I think this is the one. There's a few on High Creek out in the Kendall area that opened up 7 miles of spawning habitat. So, and what can often happen is if you're on private property and you have a fish passage barrier like this, the county's funded something downstream from you and has opened up some habitat, or even upstream, but they can't work on private property. So that's where the conservation district comes in, is we can help private landowners. And we have our CREP program. Horrible acronym, great program. The Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. It's built to protect salmon, restore streams, and improve habitat. So our CREP program, these are the blue tubes that you mostly see around the county. This is where the Conservation District, in partnership with FSA, is able to pay a landowner to put land into conservation. So if you have a salmon-bearing creek or river or waterway on your property, we can help fund developing buffers, conservation buffers on either sides of those streams. So it improves water quality, it diversifies habitat. Those trees, as they grow, obviously keep the water cooler. There's financial incentives in the form of yearly payments per acre put into conservation. It improves that bank stability, so it prevents erosion, as well as attenuates some of those floodwaters. And also add, it's not on here, it's beautiful. You're taking something that, like, potentially, a lot of times, we have creeks that are overrun with Himalayan blackberry, invasive species here in the Pacific Northwest. We actually pay to remove that Himalayan blackberry, establish native trees and shrubs, which are obviously very beautiful, and then it's maintained for 5 years through this program, so we can ensure that establishment. So here's an example of a CREP project going in. If you drive home on the Hannigan, or if you're heading south and you're going on the Hannigan, you'll see a bunch of these. That's just an example of a place that you could go and see them. So this is 1 year, I think this is 3 years, and this is 5 years. You can see the same gate is in each one of these pictures. So really you're establishing a forest. We have a CREP buffer on the backside of our property, and now it has trails through it. We absolutely love it. It has created such an amazing habitat for us as well as the animals that love it. Okay, and that's it. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for visiting our tables. We've got 4 or 5 that are around here today, and I'm happy to entertain any questions that you have. And I also want to introduce Pauline. Would you mind just coming up really quick? So, along with myself and a variety of other people that you've probably met today, but this is Pauline. She's our farm planner here at the district, so when we say, hey, call the conservation district and ask for somebody to come out, this might be who would come and develop a plan for you, both for nutrient management and also just for productivity and forage growth. So I just wanted to put a face to the name. What is a farm planner? This is one of them. We've got 3. Any specific questions on CD programs? If you'd like to sign up for more information about events like this and to get farm planning services, etc., we have an e-news that goes out monthly, and we promise not to spam you at all. You can sign up at our booths for that as well. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Thank you so much. And that's our last presentation for the day. So go enjoy the booths, and we'll see you next year.